Okay, guys, let's get this thing started in 3, 2, 1, now. All right. Welcome to the show, and come inside. How are you? It is what, Monday, the 22nd of June, 2020? Got the headphones on. I said, yeah, you know, whatever. I'm just going to put the cans on tonight. Welcome to the show. You are experiencing live television. You are experiencing a TV show. Just like, you know what you might see on Fox News? A little more low budget. You know, I didn't get too dressed up today. I just decided to throw a shirt on, come in here, and do a show for you guys. So I want to say hi to Greg and Marty already joining me this evening. I've got a lot of stuff in Felix and Maureen and Chad. Glad to have you joining me. President Trump actually did an appearance this weekend. Did you see it in Tulsa? Did you watch it? What is really remarkable to me is that for the last 2 weeks, the media has talked about how Donald Trump was going to kill people, that people should not attend the rally in Tulsa. It is irresponsible for the president to do this. He is inviting people to their doom. Everyone has pounded this. We had people trying to sue to stop the thing from happening, all with one goal in mind, to crush it. Because they don't want to see Donald Trump strong. They don't want to see Donald Trump with those rallies, those powerful, emotional, wonderful rallies that he has been known for that show that there is genuine love and support for this president and his policies. That said, for 2 weeks, we've had dire warnings and predictions of violence. Violence was coming. Black Lives Matter was coming to town. Antifa was coming to town. And then last night when 6,500 people showed up, well, actually 6,500 people got into the rally. A lot of people were turned away, and there were fake accounts to sell tickets to hundreds of thousands of people to make it look like there were more people that were going to show up than did, and also people who just didn't show up. They were leftists who got tickets and then didn't show up to try to destroy the rally. That's a really great way to do politics. I mean, honestly, how effing broke are you that you can't get a candidate who actually can inspire and draw a crowd, so you just tear down the next guy? Donald Trump did a pretty nice job last night. I thought he did a pretty nice job. He wasn't, I mean, it might have a little rusty, you know. He's been busting his ass, and I don't know, we kind of had this whole coronavirus thing to deal with, and then we had the cities burning in America because a police officer killed a black man in Minneapolis, and now suddenly we've got to change the name of Eskimo pies, and Christopher Columbus statues can't be around. Here's a president taking on the violent mob that must be taken down in this country.
The choice in 220 is very simple. Do you want to bow before the left-wing mob, or do you want to stand up tall and proud as Americans?
I think America's sick of this crap. I think they're sick and tired of people being pissing on the police and hurting people and burning down buildings and looting. They hate it. They hate the American flag being burned. They hate the American flag and the national anthem being kneeled while it's playing, and they're fed up.
And explain this to the NFL. I like the NFL. I like Roger Goodell, but I didn't like what he said a week ago. I said, where did that come from in the middle of the summer? Nobody's even asking. We will never kneel to our national anthem or our great American flag. We will stand proud and we will stand tall.
I agree, and I think most people do. There was nothing wrong with being patriotic. There was nothing wrong with being proud of your country. And I hate to tell you this, kids, but slavery happened a whole long time ago. And yes, there were policies that were propelled by Democrats through the next century and nearly a half. But it is not 1968, and it certainly is not 1868. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Here's a little more from the president. This is him going after the VP.
Biden is a very willing Trojan horse for socialism. When Biden first ran for president over 33 years ago, remember I used to call him 1% Joe. He never got more than 1%.
Nope.
Until Obama took him off the trash heap. But he blatantly copied the speech of a British politician. even ripping off the man's personal biography and family history and claiming it was his own. He forgot to say he was born in America. Joe Biden is a shameless hypocrite. Since 2003, he has delivered fawning eulogies to the funeral and at those funerals of 3 leading supporters of segregation, including a former member of the KKK. And yet Biden is now smearing as racist tens of millions of people like yourselves, decent, hardworking Americans who he's never met, and he frankly probably doesn't want to meet. America should
And even if he did meet you, he would never remember you, or for that matter, where he is.
Not take lectures on racial justice from Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe.
Yeah. By the way, Norm says, don't forget the left wants to rename Columbus, Ohio, Flavortown, because Guy Fieri's from there. Yeah, they want to rename St. Louis, too, okay? Yeah, sure. You know what? Honestly, this is the radical left becoming a butterfly. Okay, we saw Occupy about 10 years ago. I was there downtown in Washington, D.C. at a race when my son was verbally assaulted by one of the Occupy members. He was like 10 years old. And you could the whole place smelled like body odor and pot. And they were just a filthy mob. They had no direction. They were just a bunch of spoiled-ass children who had no jobs, throwing a temper tantrum, issuing a list of demands, and it fell on its fat face. 10 years later, you have more kids who have been brought up on this nonsense. The left likes to coddle black people, likes to act like black people can't succeed in this country, even though hundreds and thousands and millions have. I mean, I look at the history of African Americans and what they've been through and what they've accomplished, and I go, bravo, man. I mean, wow in science and entertainment and athletics and every walk of life. But because the left in this country attempts to infantilize black people, I think it takes away from all those great achievements, because there were people who achieved despite it all. And now you've got a generation who are being raised to be angry about everything, to not take any personal responsibility for their own failings in life, and blame it on people like me or my son, who never lived in a time of slavery or Jim Crow. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Joe Biden, he hasn't been out of his basement in a while, and he hasn't had a press conference, I think, in 80 days. Here is Donald Trump's latest ad talking about Joe. I will share real quick, though. 55% of people believe that Biden has the early stages of Alzheimer's or dementia. Zogby International posed a question to 1,007 likely voters. The results were surprising. No, they weren't. 55% said they think the former vice president is in the early stages of dementia. I disagree. I think he's in the late stages of it. Majority of Republicans, 77% more likely, 23% less likely. Independents, 56-44. Democrats, 32% think that he has got dementia. Only 68 say it's less likely. Here is a new ad from Donald Trump and his campaign about Joe Biden and his undeniable dementia.
Joe Biden is slipping.
Rapidly rising
Now at the age of 77 years old and running for president for the 3rd time, Biden is clearly diminished.
All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920.
Joe Biden does not have the strength, stamina, and mental fortitude required to lead this country.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
And Donald Trump did a speech at West Point, saluted 800 or 600 graduates, lifted a glass of water after doing this 600 times, and they said that he was had diminished capacity. He also had leather-soled shoes, and he walked down an incline, a slippery ramp slowly, and that was suddenly some sort of metaphor for Donald Trump's instability, not even close. Hello, Robin and Brian and Dave and Kay on one channel. And Norm and, let's see, Nick and Marty and Greg. Hi, guys. How are you? By the way, this week, working on this week's show on Newsmax TV. If you check out, just go to newsmaxtv.com and you can see listings. They usually publish when I'm going to be on, like Thursday. Ran the show 3 times last week. It's called Rob Carson's What in the World. It's a 30-minute version of this, and it's all funny. It's pretty cool. Here's another ad. This is how the media manipulates incidents of supposed race in this country. And yes, there are legitimate instances of race in this country, but the media loves a good race story. That's why you see things like poop swastikas being drawn in dorms at the University of Missouri that didn't happen, or nooses appearing in trees that actually ended up just being a hoist to carry bricks to a scaffold, or some guy actually exercising. That said, here's a story about what the media does to forward its narrative of rabid racism in this country and white supremacy. Hello, Robin.
I'm right up here on the left. Actually, the road's closed, so you can turn around in the driveway at the bottom of the hill. Have a good night.
Face to face with 16-year-old high school.
Serious right now?
Okay, there's somebody been watching MSNBC all day, and they see a white guy chasing a car.
Keep going! Go! Keep going! Go!
My racist neighbor just chased my black Uber driver out of the neighborhood. I am sick. There you go. And this is a narrative that everyone wants to believe, that America is racist. I hate to tell you this. There are a lot of countries in the world where racism exists. Heck, in Africa, there's 3 countries that still have slavery.
And really, it was just a matter of time before we saw something like this. And I'm really surprised that we haven't seen something worse.
Oh, and listen to Milana, of course.
People always ask, what does it mean to make America great again?
And here's the story behind the video. Oh, there's this symbol for white supremacy. He's got to leave the house with that on. Probably going to punch the window out and beat the guy because he's a black guy.
You alright? Man, bars like the stone, man.
Trying to give you a push?
Yeah, please, man. I appreciate it.
What?
All right, look, here's what we're going to have to do. I'm going to push. Don't hit the brakes at all. You just got to keep going.
Go!
It means to make America a better place than it was the day before.
There you go. Nice. Nice. Hello, Wendy and Joanne and Robin in Washington, D.C. How are you, Robin? Good to have you joining me. Rubbing. This is pretty funny. This is actually a Twitter put a manipulated media warning on a Trump tweet of a fake CNN footage that showed a terrified black toddler running from a racist baby who's probably a Trump supporter. This is really funny. This is the kind of manipulated media we see frequently. But you want to watch this, and it wasn't the president that deceptively edited this; it's the creator of the video, and the Trump retweeted it, and I think it's absolutely hilarious because this is how CNN would report it. Racist baby, there you go. Probably a Trump voter. What? Best buddies.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
Imagine that.
Every time you are near.
But, the left wants to erase any progress. Children don't recognize race. My son didn't recognize race. He still doesn't recognize race. When he was a little kid, he had all of his friends. They were from every different corner of the world. They were black and they were Asian and they were everything. And they didn't care. It didn't matter. I used to call his friends the United Nations.
Just like me, they long to be close to you.
There you go.
Why do stars fall down from the sky every time you walk by? Just
like me. Hey.
They long to be close to you.
Nice. I like that. That's funny. That's funny. So they had it was CHAZ, but they decided that was too stupid a name. The movement in, I shouldn't say that. I should say the crap hole in the autonomous zone in Seattle that needs to be taken down. They either need to have their lights, power shut off, food shut off, all supplies shut off completely, or send the National Guard in. Leaning towards the National Guard. I'd really like to see some of these fools get their asses kicked because they have wrecked the place. They have vandalized it. They have sexually assaulted. They had robbed. They have murdered now. Second straight night shooting in the cop-free Seattle protest zone. One person was shot Sunday night inside the CHAZ thing, and then I guess Saturday night, a 19-year-old man was killed after a shooting took place in the zone. Officers were responding, said that there was some trouble, but they were met by a violent crowd. So this kid was bleeding out. Some dumbass threw him in the back of a car or a van or whatever, drove him to the hospital, and he was already dead. The police could have done something, but here are some of the response to the police in now it's the CHOP zone, which needs to be taken down now. There's the shooting. By the way, there's piles of feces in this place. Nobody is bathing now. They have vandalized everything. They have graffiti spray painted everything. They're doing all sorts of drugs in there. Here's the police arriving to help a kid who's bleeding to death.
Please move out of the way so we can get to the victim. All we're trying to do is get to the victim and provide them aid. Please allow us to get fire into the area to provide them aid.
These people need their asses kicked. National Guard, bring them in. Let's go forward.
We have a head count.
Eventually, the police were chased out. The Seattle mayor took away pepper balls and tear gas.
Get your vehicle and go. Go over the curb and out. Jerry. Move out of the way. Move out of the way. Move out of the way.
There they go. Things being thrown at the cop car. There you go. Nice. And a 19-year-old, oddly enough, a black man died. A 19-year-old black man died. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Frightened drivers called 911 in Columbus, Ohio, because of protesters taking the streets People were, as with many of these protests, now people are being dragged from their cars even when they had nothing to do with it. People calling, say, I'm just trying to get home. Violent mobs surrounding their cars, and the police being told by the mayor of Columbus to stand down.
Protests full of passion, but reports some demonstrators are blocking streets and swarming drivers downtown have people scared.
Okay.
Here's video from one of the people stopped.
This shit has to stop now.
Without warning.
So all I'm trying to do is get home from work. I worked all day. That's all I'm asking.
That's all we asking too. The police turn around and let us protest in peace.
Here you see photos of a driver who...
Now get your ass out of the street. You can go protest somewhere else.
Tells us protesters circled his car with bikes and tried to get him out of his vehicle. He called 911 and was...
Why would they get him out of his vehicle? Oh, I don't know. Maybe to beat him.
Distracted by police after about 10 minutes. Drivers tell us it's becoming a common occurrence.
He's in a silver Ford Explorer. Protesters are surrounding his car and threatening him.
CPD posted on Facebook yesterday that officers have not been asked to stand down to protesters, but in a 911 call obtained by 6 on Your Side, a dispatcher has a conflicting message for a concerned caller.
That's a protest. They're riding their motorcycles, popping wheelies, and
yep. We were told by our mayor to stand down. So the mayor has given them full reins of the street.
There's been continued vandalism to the State House and vicinity. Even CPD officers have been swarmed. We have a police report of a pregnant officer whose car was damaged on her way to work. In Columbus, it's against the law to block the street without a permit.
They're surrounding my car. They're blocking my traffic. The police need to protect me.
We've reached out to police and to the mayor's office to...
It's nonsense. It's nonsense. My son differs from me politically. He's in college. And he says, hey, this is a mostly peaceful movement. Well, mostly peaceful movements do not cause billions of dollars in damage. Mostly peaceful movements do not cause billions of dollars in damage, at least 20 deaths, several police officers killed, one police officer paralyzed for life from the neck down and on a ventilator. Meanwhile, in Chicago over the weekend, 102 people were shot and 14 were dead. One of them a 3-year-old infant, a black child. I want you to think about that for a second. Where do you live? I live in Overland Park, Kansas. If a 3-year-old white child in Overland Park shot to death, the world would be up in arms. It would be the end of the world. A 3-year-old being shot to death through the wall of a house in a drive-by? Are you kidding me? But because it happens all the time, and because people like me say, we've got to solve the crisis in the African-American community, and I am immediately called racist. I lost a very good friend, called me a racist, known me for 17 years. Not allowed to come into his house anymore. Because suddenly he thinks I'm a racist. I've had the same feelings about these things for a long time. And I've seen now 2 generations of kids go forward, and it never gets better, and Democrats make promises, and it never gets better, and Barack Obama was the first black president for 8 years. Nothing happened. 102 people and 14 people dead in Chicago, Illinois, one 3-year-old baby. 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 24-year-olds. Black on black violence, that doesn't matter. It's racism. It's a Columbus statue. If we took that Columbus statue down, that would fix everything. If we got rid of Aunt Jemima, everything's going to be just fine. What we're seeing is the blossoming of a Marxist movement that started in academia and will be crushed before it's all over, because it will not take over this country. It will not take over the country. Oh, here's this is actually an Antifa member getting his ass kicked. This will put a smile on your face. I like this.
Just get out of the fucking way, you fuckhead.
So this a-hole, normally they're used to getting their ways. They can stand in front of traffic and everything's going to be, they can stop it, make them turn around and all this. Well, this fool decided to pick on the wrong guy in a big old SUV. This is in Atlanta. This makes me smile. I needed some comedy today. Go home, you little punk. Go home to mommy. Go home and have a juice box. Maybe mommy can put a cold juice box on your head. Here's Kayleigh McEnany, the president's spokesperson, talking about the violence that has blossomed in Democrat-run cities around the country, like Columbus and like Atlanta and like Chicago and like Minneapolis. Where is Minneapolis, by the way? Wasn't it mostly peaceful up there? What happened to Minneapolis? Minneapolis, 600 to 1,000 buildings were burned, either down or damaged, and suddenly it doesn't exist. Minneapolis doesn't exist anymore. It's like it was never there.
Hello, everyone. This past Father's Day weekend, we saw violence across the country, but we saw scant media coverage of this violence. Let's be clear here. These states are responsible for policing their streets. The governors, the mayors are responsible for ensuring that our streets are safe, that the American people are protected. And what we have seen is in far too many Democrat-run states and Democrat-run cities, we have seen violence and chaos and nothing like the law and order that we saw here in D.C. when President Trump stepped in and surged the National Guard.
He brought in the National Guard, and, of course, the mayor of Washington, D.C. booted National Guard members from a hotel, even though they had settled in. She booted them out on the street.
In Chicago, for instance, we saw over 100 people were shot and 14 tragically killed, including a 3-year-old was among the victims.
By the way, the 3-year-old was in a car with dad. And apparently the intended victim. And, of course, the intended victim didn't get hit, and the 3-year-old is dead. A life snuffed out. A life snuffed out at age 3. Dear God in heaven.
And one local news outlet tragically reported that multiple teenagers were killed in Chicago this weekend as well.
Oh, you know, they're just black kids, right? 15-year-old, 17-year-old, right? That's what the media says.
In Minneapolis, 11 people were shot and 1 person killed. One individual was a father of 2 who worked as a barber, and our hearts break for this family. Also in Democrat-run New York City, we saw that the New York Post reported that there was 1 shooting per hour this Saturday. Absolutely inexcusable.
Nice. Because these Democrat enclaves have given thugs, murderers, thieves permission to wreck, to damage, and they're gonna defund the police. This is the fruits of their labor, and unfortunately, innocent people like little 3-year-olds in car seats are gonna die, gonna suffer because of this. Unbelievable.
24 people shot on Saturday alone.
Hi, Jeannie.
And then in Democrat-run Seattle, we've seen the autonomous zone, otherwise known as CHOP, C-H-O-P. 1 person was shot and killed in this autonomous zone run
19-year-old black man.
Run by radical anarchists. And also, we saw another shooting there yesterday as well. And Democrat mayor of the city.
I thought it was a socialist paradise. It's not a socialist workers' paradise because none of them have jobs. They just destroy.
Called CHOP.
They need to cut that effing area off. All the power, all the cell service, all the food, everything. No toilet service. Let the porta potties overrun.
Quote, the summer of love, but it has been nothing of the sort, clearly, with 2 individuals shot, 1 person shot and killed. It is the responsibility of governors to protect their states, to police their streets. The police power rests at the state level, and we expect mayors to step up and to do their job, and governors to step up and do their job.
Not if they're Democrats.
President Trump, who secured D.C. after a night of lawlessness 2 weeks ago. Finally, the defund police movement is misguided.
Is a joke.
It will only hurt the vulnerable citizens of American cities the most. It's sad and it is shameful. And with that, I'll take questions. Yes.
Kayleigh, thank you. Has the president actually directed officials to slow down the rate of coronavirus?
Okay, they move right on. They move right on from all of the violence that she just highlighted, all of the death, all of the mayhem, and they jump into the coronavirus. Un-effing believable. Un-effing believable. I want to show you something real quick. We came up with a new T-shirt design that's sure to piss some people off, and I don't care. Sam Cangelosi, yeah, we came up with this T-shirt design. I'll start listening when you stop burning shit. Now, this is the police. This is the thin blue line here in the middle, by the way. You can go to teepublic.com, teepublic.com, and look up conservatees with 2 E's. teepublic.com/conservatees. You can order this. I'll start listening when you stop burning shit. All right? You can put that on T-shirts. You can put that on mugs. You can put that on phone cases and all that stuff. There you go. teepublic.com. I didn't prepare a graphic. Let me just show you. teepublic.com. This is my T-shirt line with Sam Cangelosi. Sam Cangelosi. This is the latest design, and I think it says wonderful things. And I think that if you have a police officer in your life, you ought to consider ordering it. There it is. teepublic.com/conservatees. I'll start listening when you stop burning shit. Order one for the police officer in your life. teepublic.com/conservatees. Conservatees. I think that's freaking fantastic. Isn't that cool? I think it's awesome. You know what? You are going to get nowhere by doing the shit you're doing, burning and looting and wrecking and destroying. Screw you. Screw you for tearing down statues without going through some sort of a legal way to voice your disapproval and removal. Bull crap. Here's one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. I don't know if you knew this. Black Lives Matter, they're a violent mob. They're not a peaceful mob. They're not anything of what they're supposed to be. They were founded on a lie, that of the acquittal of George Zimmerman in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin, who, by the way, attacked George Zimmerman because he thought George Zimmerman was trying to pick him up because he's gay. This is what it says on their website. This is their mission. We affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are self-reflexive and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift black trans folk, especially black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. The BLM website also focuses on issues concerning racial injustice, police brutality, criminal justice reform, black immigration, economic justice, LGBTQIA, and human rights, environmental justice, access to health care. We engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect their context. Now, this is one of the creators of Black Lives Matter admitting they are a Marxist group. What about Marx? Well, let me see. His philosophy that ruled the Soviet Union resulted in the death of 100 million people last century.
I also think that it might, I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. Are
they community organizers?
Are trained Marxists. We are...
then go effing live in Cuba.
Super... versed on sort of ideological theories, and
really like super versed on the abject failure of it, the starvation of millions, the assassination of millions, the imprisonment of millions. Are you while you sit in your academic circle fest with your friends, did you ever study that, you moron?
I think that what we really try to do is build a movement that could be utilized by many black folk.
Yeah, you know what? Not all black folk want to be effing communists. In fact, I would say most of them don't. Unbelievable. What a turd. What a turd. Yes, I call her a turd. She is a turd, a giant flaming turd. President of Chick-fil-A just lost my business. Dan Cathy was speaking to a bunch of folks, I guess, at a Passion City church in Atlanta. And he decided to shine the shoes of a black man, Christian rapper and music business owner Lecrae. Now, there are some people who are saying that people, there's some white folks who are so profoundly ridden with guilt that for some odd reason, even though they've never done a racist thing in their entire lives, and were born 165, 140, 170, about 165, whatever years ago, slavery ended then. But some white people feel like they need to get down on their knees and grovel and all that stuff. And I've shared some of these. This is the president of Chick-fil-A. shining a black man's shoes because of some sort of guilt.
I invite folks just to put some words to action here. And if we need to find somebody that needs to have their shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes. And whether they got tennis shoes on or not, maybe
I'm not going to do that, buddy. That's not going to happen.
They got sandals on. It really doesn't matter. But there's a time in which we need to have, some personal action here. Maybe we need to give them a hug too, brother.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
Even he's like kind of embarrassed by this. It's like in some stock in Chick-fil-A. What a buffoon! What a moron!
But I bought about 1,500 of these, and I gave to all our Chick-fil-A operators and staff a number of years ago. And so any expressions of a contrite heart, of a sense of humility, a sense of shame, a sense of embarrassment, beget with an apologetic heart. I think that's...
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't have a sense of embarrassment with regard to race. I don't have a sense of shame with regard to race because I'm not a racist person, never have been. And F you if you think I'm going to polish somebody's shoes, walk up to some person, hi, are you black? Well, it looks like you're black. I'd like to shine your shoes because I have some shame in my soul. Honestly, I was a supporter of Chick-fil-A. No. No. I'm not going to subject my children to this. I'm not going to subject my children. My children don't have anything to feel guilty about. Dear God in heaven, are you out of your nut? I mean, I am so done with this crap. Here's a little comic break here. This is somebody put this together. This is a CHAZ or now Chopped tourism video. If you're thinking about getting away, a lot of us are thinking about vacation right now. I know I certainly have because I haven't had one in 8 years. Because white privilege. If you're thinking about a vacation, you might want to consider going to CHOP.
Are you sick of living in capitalist America?
Oh, yeah.
Sick of your freedoms and rights and security and due process? Well, come on down to CHAZ. Look at all the wonderful things that communism has to offer. Feel safe in CHAZ with strong border security and armed border guards.
Awesome.
Live like a good communist in CHAZ housing just like this. You can live in slums. No need to have ambulances in utopian CHAZ. Turn them into housing. No need to buy clothes. Clothes are free in communist CHAZ. Be a good environmentalist by throwing your trash everywhere and expecting capitalist America to pick it up. Artists in CHAZ are free to create art anywhere they want, even on playgrounds for children and historic buildings. You can even create art on bathrooms that capitalist America has donated to CHAZ. However, I wouldn't recommend using these facilities. Instead, just poop in the street.
Oh, that's a good idea.
In CHAZ, if you need manure, you can just find it in the street. Feel free to use any drugs you want, anywhere you want. In CHAZ, you can plant gardens and then segregate who can garden in them by their race. That's progress. Make sure you deface minority-owned businesses.
Ooh, that's
progress.
a good idea.
Make sure you threaten to kill cops and then threaten to kill everyone who doesn't agree with you. You better desecrate the American flag. All good communists do it. And guess what? In CHAZ, there's no police. So CHAZ is completely peaceful. No violence ever in CHAZ. Peace and love forever. The best part, in communist CHAZ, you can still use capitalism. It's only 6 dirty capitalist American pig dollars for a hot dog. Or you can just eat...
Don't worry, your mom will give it to you.
...food right off the ground. So come on down to CHAZ and find the future leftists want. Yay, communism!
Yay! Thank you, Turning Point USA. We appreciate it. Oh, here's something that happened in CHAZ because CHAZ, they don't know how to build things, they know how to tear things down. They apparently tried to erect a fist. I have this video clip called "Black Lives Matter Fist Fail," which could mean a lot of things. Here they are trying to raise a fist. Man, if we were just tearing it down, it'd be a lot easier. So apparently their first fisting didn't work out very well. That's what they call raising a fist. I think they call it fisting. Apparently the CHAZ people are really into fisting.
Okay, stop. Everyone stop right now. Stop right now.
Stop right now. Stop right now. Stop right now. God. National Guard, please. Hello, National Guard. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of people that just need to have their asses kicked. Oh, here's the mayor of Oakland. Apparently, their Mayor Libby Schaff assumed that 5 ropes found hanging from trees in the city were nooses. Therefore, they were racially charged symbols of terror. They were hate crimes. By the way, they were proven not to be hate crimes, but she said they still terrified black people. Here is the mayor. Apparently, it was actually a black guy who hung some ropes in the trees so he could work out. That's actually what happened. Nicholas Williams said, he said that the symbolism, now this is from Director of Parks, the symbolism of ropes hanging in trees is malicious, regardless of intent. It's evil and symbolizes hatred, even though it was just a guy, he left some ropes in the trees that he was working out with. Here is the idiot mayor.
The Oakland Police Department has turned over the evidence to the FBI. We have to start with the assumption that these are hate crimes. We cannot take these actions.
Why can't you start with the assumption that these are ropes that are used for exercising?
Lightly. These symbols are symbols of racial...
Yeah, black people are not being lynched, okay? It's not happening.
...violence, and it's incumbent on all of us to have that sensitivity, to have that knowledge. And that is why I've directed our staff to remove any such symbol of hatred.
Oh, by the way, it wasn't a noose, actually. It was 5 ropes in trees attached to various trees. Rope is not a noose, okay? So there was no noose.
Intention of what put it there. What a privilege for those of us that don't feel complete fear and terror when we see a rope in the tree. That is a privilege that so many of our African American residents do not enjoy.
We had a swing in our yard. Was attached with rope. It was 2 ropes and then a board there. I don't think any black people were terrified by it. I could be wrong. Sorry if it did. Wow. Here's Don Lemon's report. Now, CNN, I don't know if you knew this, over the weekend, they had to put up a fence because people were wrecking the place. Black Lives Matter, Antifa went after CNN of all things, even though they spew American hatred and love of BLM and Antifa and all that stuff. But, apparently that wasn't enough for the mob. So the mob went after CNN and they put up a wall around CNN. And apparently CNN doesn't have a problem with the wall, but they did have a problem with Donald Trump erecting a wall when there were violent protesters outside the White House who had tried to burn down a historic church. Here's Don Lemon's treatment of that.
All Black Lives Matter or just some Black lives?
No, I got to save this. Hold on.
The Black Lives...
That's not what I'm looking for. I got to save that. It's really good. Here is Don Lemon. There we go. Here's Don Lemon.
Of the White House.
Just looking at these pictures, Wolf, they are images of fear, images of a president who is desperate and who is afraid, an administration desperate and afraid, sealing them off quite literally and physically from the American people. Just looking at these pictures, Wolf, they are images of fear, desperate and afraid, sealing them off quite literally and physically from the American people.
Isn't that funny? Thank you, MRC TV. Here's the video that I wanted to share, and I don't have in front of me the gentleman who did this, but a gentleman of color decided to approach a Black Lives Matter protest featuring medical workers out in front of a hospital, and he asked some questions, and oddly enough, their support of Black Lives ended pretty quickly. Here is the video.
All Black Lives Matter or just some Black lives?
All Black lives, you bet.
The Black lives killed by black men matter, right?
Sure.
Yes?
Yeah.
The black babies killed in the abortions clinics matter, right? Thought so. The black officers killed by that bastard in Minnesota, that matters too, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But the black babies that are killed in the abortion clinics don't matter, do they? Medical people. Do their lives matter?
Look at that.
Does the future of our black babies matter?
They're looking down.
Huh? What's up? What's up? Awful quiet now, aren't they?
Awful quiet now.
It's okay if we kill them in the womb, right?
Yeah, that's, they're just little.
But you have a
balls of
problem when
flesh.
you don't seem to really have a problem when we kill them on the streets.
Nah.
Yes, well, we know they're the same issue. If we don't respect the lives of our unborn children,
wow, look at the arms crossed.
enough to save them and fight for them, our lives mean nothing once we're born.
Wow.
You all have a good day.
Y'all have a good day. That is spectacular. Hello, Roger. Hello, Dave. Hello, Jesse. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me. We got plenty of stuff to get to before I say adieu. Police responded to a report of an apparent suicide on a highway. They actually found this. It's going to be in my face here. Yeah, there you go. It was actually a police officer hung there in effigy, and they put a pig mask on it, and it had KKK scrawled on it. Sheriff Mike Williams said the mock lynching is extremely disturbing. Both the tactics and props used were a deliberate attempt to exasperate an anti-police sentiment and drive divide through our community. It wasn't ropes from a tree used for exercise. No, sirree, no, sirree. I don't know if you knew this. Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, they both wore blackface. Well, you know what? They didn't. I'm going to defend them here. Jimmy Kimmel dressed up as Charles Barkley, apparently, and he's dressed up as black Karl Malone. Jimmy Fallon were, it's not blackface. He dressed like Chris Rock and he put black, he wanted his face, skin to match it. This is not blackface. Blackface was meant deliberately back in the 1920s to keep black actors from getting work. So they just painted white people black. That was genuine racism. That was blackface. This is someone wearing a costume. However, that did, of course, Jimmy Kimmel felt so terribly guilty. He said that he's going to take the summer off. He says, I've been doing this job for almost 18 years, needed a break. Said his family were fine and he was fine, but they wanted to spend more time with him. Kimmel wore blackface on The Man Show from 1999 to 2004. Karl Malone, Jimmy Fallon wore blackface in a skit pretending to be Chris Rock. Not blackface, thank you. Fallon has apologized for the stunt. Kimmel has not. But here is Jimmy Fallon. He had a liberal academic on his show. It used to be, you used to try to be funny at late night television. This is absolutely insufferable. And you can almost see it in his face because he's like, dear God, why do I have to do this crap?
There's a question I often ask when I'm in front of a mixed race group. And I ask the black people in the room a kind of rhetorical question. How often have you attempted to give a white person feedback on their inevitable and often unaware racist assumptions or behaviors and have that go well?
She's calling everybody in the audience racist.
Well for you. Never. Number two.
Who the hell are you, you hag from hell?
Response, rarely. And I'll never forget asking a group, okay, so what if you could...
Can people? This must have been mandatory that a group would have to attend a meeting with her. There's no way anybody volunteered to be with her.
Just give us feedback on our inevitable and often unaware racist assumptions and behaviors.
You're a racist, you cow.
And I'll never forget this black...
Jimmy's like, what the fuck? Why do I got to do this?
Black man raising his hand.
He's actually a funny guy.
And saying, it would be revolutionary.
Wow.
And
great. I'm almost asleep here.
I just want all the white people to just take that in. Revolutionary, that we would receive the feedback.
I don't need your effing, I don't need you to lecture me, you awful, wretched, leftist, liberal, academic
with grades
from hell.
Reflect and seek to change our behavior. That's how difficult we are.
Wow.
That's how big a-holes we are.
Yeah, we're all a-holes. Yeah. You're an a-hole. Everybody watching this is an a-hole.
That's not a very tall order. Really?
Yeah, take your stupid, shitty set and go to hell. Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, the family of the woman who played Aunt Jemima in the 1920s is urging the company to reconsider changing their name because the job made her hero in Texas. They don't want her. They don't want her memory erased. Vera Harris doesn't want Aunt Jemima to be rebanned because her second cousin was an ambassador almost 100 years ago. Lillian Richard worked for Quaker Oats brand for 23 years. From 1925, Quaker Oats North America announced Wednesday is going to be removing the image and name. It acknowledged that Aunt Jemima's origins were based on a racial stereotype. Here is, I guess, Aunt Jemima filed a lawsuit, or the family of Aunt Jemima filed a lawsuit a while back.
But by the smiles they help spread in the world.
Yes, Aunt Jemima. Smiley, happy Aunt Jemima, famous for her secret recipe pancakes, waffles, and buckwheat. What's a good word, Aunt Jemima?
Well, Mr. Lyon, folks says there's nothing so pretty as a happy face and nothing so worthwhile as a happy life.
Yes, Aunt Jemima.
Okay, I get this.
That is true. Smiling, happy Aunt Jemima, famous for those secret recipe pancakes, waffles, and buckwheat. Seems to me you're just bursting with one of your happy sayings.
Well, I is, Mr. Charlie. The old folks, they says, you doubles your own happiness when you shares it with other folks.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty racist.
And now, Aunt Jemima, one of your old plantation sayings, if you will.
It's a pleasure, folks, to remind you all that the Lord meant for the sky to be blue. But if the day is blue, it's probably our fault.
True, Aunt Jemima, true.
True, Aunt Jemima, true. Ha, ha, ha. Aren't we all white? Wow. Okay, but the family says that, but they don't want her memory erased, so whatever. I mean, I'm not, the language, it's dated and awful. I didn't realize I was eating racist pancakes. I'm sorry. And Mrs. Butterworth is going to go away too, I guess, and Uncle Ben and all that stuff, so. And Eskimo pies are going to be renamed Eskimo Pie, the ice cream bar, because, here's what this is all about. And I said this literally over 20 years ago when I was in Minneapolis. And whenever you said something that could be mildly offensive to a certain group, there were always what I called them the Dawn Patrol. These were largely liberal white women from the suburbs who would call in, and then they would say, I am very offended by what you just said. And I'd say, are you a member of the afflicted group? No, I'm not, but I know somebody who is. And now we have a name for that person, and that is Karen. They call it Karen when you are acting like a busybody, when you are getting involved in things you should not be involved with, anything basically bad with you with regard to you being a white suburban woman. You're now a Karen. I feel bad for women named Karen, and I apologize. But they've encapsulated that I have talked about for 2 decades. And they call her Karen. This is pretty disturbing. This is a guy getting into a Lyft vehicle, and his name is Richard, and he gets in. This was back on May 28th in Reno, Nevada, and the driver, Edgar, who has to be Hispanic, says that he needs a mask, and this is when Richard got all sorts of crazy on him. Check it out.
Hi.
Richard?
Yes, sir.
What's my name, Richard?
Sir.
Yeah, what's my name?
Edgar, I think.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming out.
No problem.
I think we're going to need a bigger car. Wow.
Any chance that you have a mask?
No, I don't.
Do you mind to put your shirt on top right here?
No, don't lift your shirt. Dear God in heaven, don't lift your shirt.
That'll be really appreciated. I'm sorry?
You believe in that?
Yes, I do. Because I have a family that is sick of that.
I don't believe our government. So.
This is where Richard becomes a complete...
It's not the government. It's the people that is getting sick.
This is when Richard becomes when he becomes Dick. Instead of Richard, he becomes Dick.
Okay. I'm sorry I don't have a mask.
Yeah.
I've never heard of someone ask me to wear a mask.
Well, it's because we're really close.
Richard's going to start becoming Dick here in just a second.
Huh? You want to get me home? You should have went left there. I just crush your car right now.
Oh, there he goes. Hold on.
No.
It's my car, and you can get out right now.
Yeah, he told Richard to get out of the car.
It's not your car. It's Lyft.
Nope, it's my car.
You represent Lyft.
Well, then suit Lyft. Then
your little candy and your white glasses. I just crush your car right now.
He says I could crush your effing skull right now.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to sit on his skull in that car?
I'm not going to do that because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you're on video right now.
I'm not an idiot. Just take me home.
No.
And I won't give you a review. Just take me home.
Nope.
But wait a minute. Were you just going to crush my skull?
Nope.
Okay,
nope.
Cancel this ride. Then I want to see you cancel the ride, so I ain't got to pay $5. You cancel it.
There.
Bye.
Go again.
Get out, fat boy. Get out there, Turdy McTurderson.
I don't see that.
Bye-bye.
Let me see it show up on my phone.
What a giant turd.
Okay?
I don't know.
You got video? You got video?
Yeah, you got video.
Do you take models class?
What?
Models.
What's models?
You don't even speak.
I don't know.
Richard apparently called him a effing wetback, by the way.
Because I speak English.
Yeah, you think you speak English, but you don't.
Were you from Boy? There you go.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're a wetback.
Oh,
and
nice.
You are?
I'm an American, motherfucker. I fought for the country for 3 times.
You fought for the... Okay, well, you know what? I'm not proud of you for serving, sir.
I'm an American, too.
3 times in the war.
I'm an American, too.
No, I don't. But you don't speak English?
Yes, I do speak English.
Okay,
I
well,
speak Spanish.
How come you just want to rip me off on my trip? That's all.
He really is dick now.
I want to know.
Not Richard.
I don't want to rip you off of the trip.
Then
You start disrespecting me.
Why you canceling me for full ride when you only gave me 100 yards of ride?
Well, because you said you were going to crush my skull and then called me an effing wetback.
Why would you do that? And how would that be considered to be fair? How is that considered to be fair?
Goodbye, Turdy McTurdison. Get out of my effing car. Johnson & Johnson has decided to stop selling skin whitening creams. I didn't even know they had them. Popular in Asia and the Middle East. Apparently some products have come under renewed social pressure in recent weeks and amid a global debate about racial inequality. What about fake tanning that turns you orange? Aren't there orange people out there who are a little offended by this? Isn't that like Oompa Loompa appropriation? Think about that, Mr. President. Hello? Little Oompa Loompa. You know, that's a small group of people, the only survivors who were cruelly treated by their previous their previous leaders. They work in a candy factory, for God's sake, and here you are. You're culturally appropriating by painting your face orange like an Oompa Loompa. That's really racist, man. Here's an elderly man at Walmart, not too happy about being asked to wear a mask when into Walmart, and he apparently tried to muscle his way in.
Put your hands up.
Bro, you gotta wear a mask, bro.
Oh, right on the ground. What good is going to happen? And by the way, I thought old people were supposed to greet people at the Walmart, and younger people were supposed to go in.
Bro, these folks is tripping, bro. Hey, sir, everybody got on masks, man.
Get
everybody got
the
on
hell
masks,
out.
Man.
You want a mask, man? I got some.
Here's the thing. If they ask me to wear a mask in a store, I just leave. Okay? I mean, I'm like, if I don't feel like wearing a mask, but I'm not going to be a dick like this.
Bro, this is too.
Because this is what you do. If they say you're not going to wear, you're supposed to wear a mask, you wear a mask. All right? If you get into the Lyft car and the Lyft driver says, I need you to wear a mask, you just say, okay, well, I'm going to wait for another Lyft driver, or you put a mask on.
Buddy, bro. Poor thing, man. Look, he got look at it, bro.
I'm going to get this salsa.
Bro, the man doing his job, bro. Just get a mask. Man, he just doing his job, man.
Man.
Come on, man.
You have just made such a fool of yourself, dear Lord. All right, now let's have some fun with odd videos, shall we? Because there's a lot of stuff here to watch. This is check this out. Minivan caught on camera speeding down a California highway with a motorcycle lodged in its fender. It happened on California's Route 91. No motorbike rider. They call it a motorbike in this story. It's from the UK Daily Mail. But imagine you're driving down the road and you see this.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Get the license plate.
Oh, man. Seriously, what the hell? Of course, it's a Honda Odyssey, so they're probably late for their Mahjong tournament. Got to get together, let's hang out, drink some Bach Chardonnay.
Where's the motorcycles? Can you call 911?
Apparently, the person driving the minivan abandoned the minivan with the motorcycle, and no rider for the motorcycle has been found.
Here, call it. Yeah.
Wow. Weird. So you had Jared and Roger and Connor and Dave as well. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys. Hey, check this out. This is a kid. Okay. you got a lot of kids who think they're going to live forever, and they do parkour, and they do things like jumping off of buildings and all this crap. This is a guy named Adam Lockwood. He's 19 years old. He posted a video of himself hanging off the ledge of the Madison apartment block in Canary Wharf in central London. And this kid has been known for posting for the last 4 years videos of him doing this stuff. So if you were squeamish about heights, you're going to have a real problem watching this. But I would definitely watch this because chances are he won't be on the planet much longer.
Oh, I'm a bit brave today.
What's wrong with you?
No, you're a bit stupid today. By the way, he does call himself stupid. He calls himself a professional idiot.
I got a mate that does that.
This is, wow. This is beyond stupid. Oh.
No. Christine. I could hang. 4 minutes to get up here.
Okay, I can't watch it anymore. Can you watch that anymore? I can't watch that anymore. Wow. He's been doing this a lot. And chances are his parents have already made funeral arrangements. He just doesn't know when. Oh, this is the future of dining, ladies and gentlemen. And and by the way, did you hear the news about the COVID-19? Apparently the death rate is slowing. The infection rate has grown a little, but apparently the virus appears to be weakening. Here is a restaurant in Turkey. Could be the future of dining, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Got to get your hand sanitizer there. Got to wash those hands like you're going into surgery. There you go. Get your own bubble, your own individual private bubble. Well, there's your mask. There's your own air filter, I guess, in there. Oh, and of course, he's talking on his phone. That's nice. Yeah, this is the future of dining, apparently. Oh, no, and you're in a locked room. You're in a locked... That's spectacular. So you're in a hermetically sealed dome that has a digital lock on it. Yeah, I'm just going to stay at home. I'm gonna make some pizza or something at home, or just, maybe deliver takeout or something. I don't know. Wow. Wild bear in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, climbing up to apparently get into a bird feeder. Scott Bixby saw the bear trying to get to the bird feeder and did what he does best. He went out and yelled at the bear, and the bear said, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't realize this was your bird feeder."
What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? You're not a... What do we do? No.
Bad bear.
No. It's going to tear it off the tree. No. Stop it.
Don't be a hero.
Stop it.
Wow.
No. Stop
Bad
it.
bear.
Stop it.
Bad bear.
Down. Don't fall off.
Wow.
But down. Bear.
Bear's like, dude.
No.
Can I... Got a jar of honey or something in there? Can I...
Down.
Anything?
Bear.
Anything? Can
Bear.
I...
Down. No. You're going to break it off.
Leave him alone, Scott. If he gets it, he gets it. Okay.
He's climbing down.
Oh, boy.
He's climbing down. Okay, man, whatever. It's bird seed, whatever. I mean,
that's really far down, bud.
You can put something down at the base of the tree for the bear. I don't know.
Okay. He's actually... I'm just really impressed going to sleep.
Wow, there you go. That's we've had some critters in our backyard, I'll tell you that. All sorts of them. All right. Oh, let's do one more video. I have one more video. This is pretty cool. This is Vanessa O'Brien. She has traveled via submersible to the Earth's lowest point, the bottom of the Mariana Trench, 35,000 feet deep, and she's also been to the top of Mount Everest, which is 29,035 feet. Thank you very much. She's 55 years old, so she's been to the first woman in the world to scale the highest and lowest points in the entire world. Here's a little bit about her. There she is on Everest. I assume that's the Mariana Trench. Wow. I spoke to Robert Ballard about the bottom of the Mariana Trench. He's the guy who discovered the Titanic. He said it's just a big mud hole. So there's nothing interesting down there. So here's a woman who has been to the highest and lowest points on the world. Here we go.
Very similar. Very cramped quarters. You've got a tent with like 3 people, or you've got a sub with 2, right? You're not in a lot of space. They're both in the dark. They're both in environments where oxygen is not is at a premium, right? They're both high risk to some extent, high mountains versus deep deeps.
Pretty amazing. And, she's been to the highest and lowest points in the world. I do that every day, figuratively. 1 minute you're like, yeah! Then you're like, whoa. And then you're like, yeah! And then you're like, whoa. It happens. It happens. That's going to do it for my show tonight, guys. I do appreciate you joining me. If you get a chance to watch on my show on Newsmax TV, it's going to be this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. They ran it 3 times last week, and it is a humorous take on the news. Okay? I am a libertarian-leaning conservative, and I try to be funny without being vitriolic. With the show, I think you're really going to enjoy it no matter what your political ilk. Okay? If you want to follow me on Facebook, it is Rob Carson Show. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it is Rob Carson. I want to thank you guys for watching me. All of you guys. Connor, Roger, Jared, Dave. I got 2 pages going in my Rob Carson Show. Norm. Lots of Norm. Norm commenting. Lots and lots of Norm tonight. Nick, Marty, all of you guys. God bless you. Have a glorious evening, and I will see you again soon. Bye.